The Paranormal Project Radio Show. Here are your hosts, Scott Allen and Christina Bowen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Project Radio Show. Happy Wednesday to everybody. How are you, Christina, this week?
I am fabulous. How have you been?
Nice to see you all decked out in your gay apparel and Yuletide, whatever you want to call it. Hello, Adam Bacon. Good to see you. Yeah, it's like it's Christmas in a couple of weeks. I can't believe, not even a couple of weeks. It's less than 2 weeks. It's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. So
yeah, I don't know if you saw my post earlier today, but it's like if I don't even know what I've ordered anymore, Amazon could deliver a goat tomorrow and I would not be surprised.
Yeah. Would that be for your dad? Or who's that?
You're so bad.
I'm telling you, one thing you and I are good at, besides talking to the dead and putting hexes on people, is punting at the last minute. So our guest this week was Katie Elizabeth, who is a champ expert. Lake Champlain. Champy is the sea monster there or the lake monster, I guess. And she had a last minute conflict. So thankfully, we have another guest tonight that we're going to talk to that I'm equally as excited about. C.L. Thomas is an author. She was on our show last year. She has the Small Town Tales podcast, but she's a brand new podcast. And we're going to talk about that tonight. It's called The Gateway. And we are going to speak with her about her podcast and all the stuff she's got going on, because she lives a very interesting life. Adam Bacon says Monster Hunter. Who are you, the Monster Hunter? Or who's? Oh, you're talking about Katie Elizabeth. Yeah, she's not with us tonight, Adam. She's not with us tonight. I don't know. She had a conflict that came up at the last minute. So, but we do have C.L. Thomas. I'm going to bring her out here in just a second. And let's see. Hello, my friend. How are you? Good to see you again.
It's nice to see you too. Thank you for having me on your show.
And thank you for not getting to the gym in time. This is really great.
Well, my ads are going to suffer greatly for it, just so you know.
Well, that's all right. I was texting you, and before I heard from you, I was texting Christina, and I said, think about something to talk about, because we need to change gears in about 2 seconds, and I hate that when that happens. So, but you got some stuff going on. So you've launched your new book.
I have.
Dancing with Demons. And you're still doing Small Town Tales, which I was on last year, and you were on with us last year. And now you've got The Gateway, and I'm going to be on with you the day after Christmas. So if people are just sitting around looking for something to do, we can talk. What's the difference between Small Town Tales and the new one, Gateway?
Well, the Small Town Tales podcast it started out as a paranormal podcast, but it's really more about small town legends and things pertaining to the paranormal. And that's where your, ghost and paranormal investigators and maybe stuff about Bigfoot would fit on that one. But it wasn't what I really wanted in a podcast. I was looking more for something to stream and talk to guests about metaphysical healing, mediumship, spirit talk kind of topics. And just, spirit communication, all things mediumship pretty much. And so I created the new show, The Gateway. And there's a woman named Michelle DeRocher. She used to be on a couple of those paranormal shows. She has, I think it's called the Outer Realms radio show. And so there was a opening that came up on the 107.7 FM station. And she asked me to do a new show with her, or not with her, but just to do a new show in that spot. So I took this spot.
Now, where is that? Is that out in your area?
No, it's actually broadcast out in New Orleans.
Oh, it
Wow.
is. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's audio only on the radio in New
Yeah,
Orleans, but
it's
of course you're everywhere else, right? You're
right, yeah, so they put it on. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I know it's going out on Roku and a
Mhm.
bunch of other different places.
Cool. Now Roku has podcasts? I didn't even know that.
Mhm.
It's
Streaming.
a yeah, it's a radio show. It's not a
Ah,
podcast.
how cool is that? Good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So have you found, I mean, I know you're kind of booked up, right? You've got a bunch of guests already planned out, but are they all
Mhm.
mediums or are they like larges like me?
No, so there's a lot of different people that are coming on the show, so I'm gonna have you guys on for sure, but, um, there's a lot of different people that are coming on. There's a demonologist that's gonna speak next week, and I
Nice.
had a paranormal investigator on last week, but it's not the direction I really wanna take the show. Like, if I do paranormal investigators, I wanna take it deeper,
Mhm.
than what's normally talked about.
Right.
In the paranormal field now,
Mm.
you have all of these groups, and their primary focus is to collect data, and then decide if it exists or not. And to me, the stuff exists. So what's the next step? And that's where I'm trying to go with the Gateway podcast.
I like
Well,
that.
yeah, I do too. And I think that, and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit on your show, but I think, the mediumship, it's not all about doing a reading at a site, but it's using that, whatever you want to call it, that intuition to be
Mhm.
able to sense what you find, and how can we back it up with equipment potentially, just to
Right.
or vice versa, but I think there's definitely a place for the medium in the paranormal. And
Yeah.
the mediumship doesn't have to be paranormal either. I mean, you've got a lot of other opportunities too. I mean, there's mediums that don't do anything with the paranormal.
That's
Mhm.
right. Exactly. I think a mediumship opens that door, to serve spirit and to help somebody actually heal. So there's a whole other part of it that I think the paranormal world kind of misses.
I love that outlook.
I do too. I think that. And a lot of people may not know this, but you are developing your own gifts that you have, and we've talked about this in the past over the last, year or two. And I think that the more you embrace it, the stronger it is, would you say, for
Mhm.
yourself? Because I know you're seeing some changes in how you get things, and how you are able to um,
Yeah.
deliver.
So, you actually turned me on to him, to, Joseph Scheel.
Yes.
I don't know if he's famous, but he's a pretty well-known medium, and he's known for his spirit art, and so I've taken a class or 2 with him, and, it turns out he's a really good spirit artist, and so I'm training under him for spirit art. It's
And
Can you
for those of
explain what spirit art is
Yeah,
for
go
those
ahead.
that don't know?
Hmm.
okay, so there's 2 different things with the spirit art. The paranormal crowd seems to take it as you sit with the client and you kind of sketch out maybe their spirit guide or something a little more abstract, whereas I'm taking it into more of an evidential mediumship side to where you're actually drawing the person. Like I'm able to show somebody the image and it looks like grandma or whoever the spirit is
Mhm.
that's connecting at that time. So there's some kind of evidential back or evidence to what I'm trying to sketch out and whatever spirit that I'm trying to connect with.
And
That's
it's funny
wonderful.
because I feel like I've asked Joe this. So Joe, for those of you who don't know, Joe Shield is pretty famous within the world of mediums. I mean, he's taught at the Arthur Findlay College in the UK, but he's also now, he doesn't like the word pastor, but he is. He's pastor of the Journey Within Church in
Mhm.
Pompano Lakes, New Jersey, and the Journey Within is really the only spiritualist church in the United States directly linked back to the UK. Others can call themselves spiritualist churches, but they don't have that tie to
Mhm.
the Arthur Findlay Spiritualist Union, which is in the UK. He is a fantastic medium. He actually mentors me, which I love. But he's a great spirit artist, and I asked him one day. I said, I think that I don't always see spirit as spirit is. I see spirit as I need to see them to understand what they're trying to say to me. And so I don't know that I could ever do spirit art. Besides the fact, as I told you yesterday, grandma would have to look like a stick figure in order for someone to recognize her in real life. I don't think I have that talent, but seriously, I think that I don't know if I get it the same way. And we don't always all get it the same way. How I get messages is not how you're going to get them, and yours comes out in a very different way. And I think
true.
That's what makes it so nice,
You're absolutely right. I'm very visual anyway. I have a photography background. I'm a painter. I do all of this artistic stuff. So I'm very visual. So it's like we talked about this too, Scott. A lot of times when a spirit is coming through, I don't always hear them. I don't know, Scott, you said you do. I usually see it in images. It's almost like flashes. So I'm able to sketch out
I don't
am I
hear
seeing?
like hear. Like I don't hear like I hear you. But it will flash into my mind like immediately. Oh, well, like today, I was doing a reading and like, Rose. Who the name Rose? Oh yeah, that's so and so. Sometimes it comes to me like that. So I say here, but I don't know if I hear here. I don't think I hear it outside of my body. I think I just get it. And sometimes it'll come out on paper. So I've gotten the habit of like carrying a piece of paper with me and I doodle. And sometimes I'll look back and, oh, why did I write that? Or this doodle will look like a word that I hadn't even comprehended. Like, oh, does that mean anything to you? And it does. It'll come out on the paper. So stuff like that will happen. But other people, they're all clairaudient. They'll hear everything.
Gotcha.
I'm just not that person. Me, it's a lot of visual, but not as much as it used to be. And I feel like you'll find too, the more you do this, the more fine-tuned it will actually get for you.
I've had some really good results so far. Some of the clients that I've had, I don't do readings
Right.
on the normal stuff. So like I don't do it for money or anything like that. But the clients I have had, I've sketched them out and sent them the drawing, and a lot of them will call me and they're just bawling because it's
Wow.
the stuff that comes out in them. One lady in particular, it was of a really good friend of hers who committed suicide just recently. And what I saw was him in like a full hunter suit. He had like a bunch of antlers around him. There was a bunch of symbolism and sometimes I get words like you're saying. Like for this one, I had warlock. So I didn't know what that meant, right? So I just would sketch it on the side and just leave it there. But when I sent it to her, she called me, and I guess he was a taxidermist, which is where all the animal images were coming from. And she knew exactly who this guy was. It was crazy. I think I even got the name on that one. But
It's funny because I feel like with yours, and you've done spirit art for me. I feel like the entire reading is in the painting. It's not like you just draw grandma. You know what I mean? Like grandma might be there, but it's not just that. It's the symbolism of, I don't know, I'm making this up, but the symbolism of where she is in the photo and the cabin with the brook and the birds and the trees and the little messages that pop up through it. And I think that's what I think is so cool. Because even Joe, who does spirit art, doesn't draw like that. He'll draw the people. And sometimes he'll draw 3, 4, 5 people that'll all show up in the same photo. But it's not the cabin and the fire and the birds and all those sort of things. So I just think it's great how we all get something just a little bit different.
it's really interesting. Just the whole field of mediumship, you start to meet other people that have abilities like this too. And you're right, they all come out in different ways. Some people will smell things, and that's how they're able. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but they'll smell roses or something that belong to the client's mom. I don't know. It's very strange.
And I'll tell you something strange about that too. It doesn't happen to me often, but it does happen from time to time. Only once have I smelled like a perfume that was so strong it was in the room with me, and I wasn't in a reading. This was when I was unfolding and everything was like ramped up to, the nth degree. But sometimes in a reading, I'll get like cigarette smoke or perfume or lilacs or whatever it is,
Mhm.
but it's not in the room. It's like in your memory that you can smell. I don't know how to even explain that to you. I mean, Christina, now you probably have experienced that at some point, not in a
I do
mediumistic
actually
way.
quite regularly, actually. And I've said before, I am not a medium, and I don't ever want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how y'all do it. I really don't. But that I've had is I routinely, almost 9 o'clock every evening, cigarette smoke comes through the living room.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I know who it is, and I welcome them. But yeah, it's pretty odd. But for me, it is like in the room, and many times other people can smell it too. So I'll just be sitting there and like, can y'all not smell that?
Yeah.
And almost always they're like, yeah, I thought somebody was, back there. And no, nobody's here. So
Well, and
that's
I'll
the
say
only
this
one I can
too.
relate to.
I'll say this too, and I think I don't know what you think, Crystal, but CL, but I feel like, you because you're not a medium, you need to have it a little more in your face, which means it would be in the room and just like you're
I
gonna
got to be
miss.
smacked. Hmm.
I think the more you do this, the more subtle it becomes. And to be honest, I mean, I wish it was as full blown open as it was when it first happened, because man, it was like watching a movie play out. You're getting sounds and smells and it's not like that anymore. A lot of it is like mind implantation, like they just stick it in your mind like a memory you used to have. Like if you think of your grandmother's perfume as an example, you can almost smell it by remembering it, but it's not. It's when it comes unexpected, like oh, that's her. That's her. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's not like you were thinking of
Yeah.
it. That's kind of what it's like when it's subtle. And I think that's how we get it. The more we do it.
Well, I've
Yes,
heard it
it's
compared to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's kind of like an instrument where you have to practice as well to get better at it.
It is. Did you learn that from Joe?
Yeah, I did.
As a matter of fact, because he says that all the time. He plays the guitar, but he says that's how we are, and it's like you are the instrument, and
Mhm.
they're there to play you. I mean, in that way, um, use me, play me,
It's
use
very
my memories,
true.
use my thoughts, use my emotions, anything that's in my memory or in my reality, you can use. And I feel like the readings get so much better that way.
They do,
Such
and I think
beautiful.
the second part of that too that he teaches is you kind of have to learn a whole spirit language almost. Like what does colors mean? What does numbers mean? Because some people like me, I'm very visual.
Hmm.
I'll see like 4 of something, and of course that means something. Um, certain colors for some people will mean anger or whatever it is, emotion.
Hmm.
Mhm.
There's a whole lot to it that
But you know
you
what? You know what though, CL? I feel like let's just use a color. Let's just use magenta. I don't know, for lack of another word. It may elicit a feeling in you, but
Mhm.
it may be very different than the feeling that Christina gets when she sees it, or that I get when I see it. So it isn't. It's we all have our own kind of like library, if for lack of a better
Mhm.
word, library of
No, I
symbols.
think that's perfect. Yeah.
That we use. I mean, they'll show me, as an example, someone that's been on blood thinners. Okay, they'll show
Mhm.
me like an arm with all like bruise marks. I'll get that, and I'm like, oh, like they were on blood thinners. It doesn't mean that they had black and blue marks.
No.
It doesn't mean that. It's just that's how they're showing it to me. But you might get it totally different. You might see, I don't know, something totally different, but it means the same thing. And it's like we all speak a different language, and they know what that language is and they can communicate with it, which is really cool.
It is really cool.
I'm glad they don't speak to me in like Russian or anything, because I'd miss the whole thing. I wouldn't get anything. I was What was I going to say? Oh, I always tell people too, like, if it hasn't entered into my memory or into my imagination, like, they can't use it. So if your grandmother was from India and she had this first name that was 26 letters long, guess what? I'm not getting it in a reading. It's never going to happen because she can't talk to me in English and say, this is how it's pronounced. Here you go. They have to give me a way to get it. And that's how it is with anything, So I feel like the more we build that library for ourselves, the better it is.
Mhm.
Like, okay, you need to show me when you want to talk to me about an army person, then you need to show me this. If you want to show me that they were an accountant, I need to see this, and write it down and make a library of symbols that you need, that you can recognize, so that when you see it, you know what it means, and they'll use it.
Has that been your experience, Seal?
Yes, that's kind of what I'm referring to when I say spirit language. So you kind of have to learn. You have to, like Joe says, you have to know yourself. You have to learn the spirit art and how the spirits are connecting with you in order to interpret the message. And that's something I struggled with for a while because I am so visual. It was kind of hard. I think we've discussed this in the past. It's like I'll see something but I don't know how to relay the message,
What does it mean?
Yeah.
What are you trying to tell me? Yeah, exactly. And sometimes they'll play with you. You think it
In
means
what way?
Well, here's an example. This has happened to me twice in probably the last couple of months. I had a reading just before we got on the call today. And I have this woman that's in front of me, and I can see how she's dressed, like she's going out, and giving me all kinds of things about how she passed, and 4, 5, 6 things that they could relate to. Except she said to me, "I understand all of it, except it's not a woman; it's a man." And I said, "That's really odd because I'm definitely seeing a woman."
Mm-hmm.
So then I said, "Is there a man here with that same thing?" And there was a man there, and it was almost like a joke, like, "Oh, playing with you." The woman was the mother, the man's mother, and she made herself known at that point. So I'm seeing her, but he's the one that's talking. He's the one that's giving me the information, like implanting it. So I've only had that happen twice, and it's the weirdest thing because usually I can figure out who's the male and who's the female. And it was
Mm-hmm.
so strange that I was getting, and it was funny because I went into the reading and I thought, I've got a man and a woman here, but the woman is talking louder. But it was because she was the visual. I couldn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
She was the
Oh,
visual.
wow.
He was the voice.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, so look, I don't understand any of this stuff and why we get what we get. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Does it make sense to you? It doesn't, right? It just happens.
It really doesn't. Yeah, somebody asked me one time, well, what's it like and how does it work? And I'm just like, I have no idea. I don't know. It just happens.
When you figure it out, let me know. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I did a house event the other night, and the guy says, "Well, I'm a skeptic." I'm like, "Good, me too," because I don't. I really am. This is why I'm never going to tell you what your spirit guides' names are, because like that's a bunch of baloney. I mean, do
Yeah.
they really have a name? Maybe they do, but how can you prove it? I only want to do things. We talk about the authenticity of what we do. I only
Mhm.
want to give you what you can understand and validate.
You
And
know what I
you
would,
can't is pointless.
it's true. I'm trying so hard not to say Zonar.
Zonar. Remember who was the robot on Lost in Space? Zonar. So that's what I feel like. I don't even know. It does mean
Robbie
something.
the robot.
Huh? The robot.
Robbie the robot.
Robbie the robot. It does mean something, and I can't think. I looked it up.
It's some kind of Reiki symbol, right?
It's what it is. It's something to do with Reiki.
Yeah.
Zonar. Do you know that? Did you know that term?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
You? What's it mean?
I can't answer you. I'd have to Google it. I'm just gonna
Oh,
be
okay.
honest.
So you don't know what it is.
I've heard of it and I recall it in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
classes and everything, but it's not a piece that I kept.
I know it's got something to do with Reiki. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Hold on, I can look it up real quick.
When you put the rake on them, I mean, Now, when you're
You have to start
scratching
up
the back,
here.
you
Yeah.
start here and work down, and they still zonar.
Go with the grain. No.
Yeah.
So it
Scott,
says,
what I do is not straight Reiki. So
it says Zonar is the first symbol you learn at the first level of Reiki. It can help heal deep emotional scars from the present as well as the past.
Okay. So there you go.
Yeah.
And what'd you say? You don't do straight Reiki? Straight
Straight
Reiki.
No,
Straightky?
I describe what I do as more energy work. Reiki
Okay.
is a part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just a part of it.
Gotcha. So if it's not straightky, is it gakey? What is
Look,
it?
I don't care, you know.
Whatever it is, we do it.
Still hurt kids and animals, you know. That's all I
Oh
care
my
about.
gosh.
Anyway, sorry to go down that path.
That's all right. That's all right. I see it. I get it.
We always get a little PG and then have to get right back to it. So
We do. Yeah. But I'm as fascinated by it as I know you are, and as other people are. And I'm starting to understand what I need to do it better,
Mm-hmm.
but I still don't know why it works.
Yeah, I think that's, it's the universal question, right? It's one of those questions that humanity will never be able to answer that. We're probably not supposed to know that. If you think
Potentially.
that's a fair statement.
And
So
why
we're
us?
continuing to seek. We always want the answer.
I mean, it's part of, we're all here anyway as to grow, to learn. That's the whole purpose of life, right? We wouldn't grow very much or seek very much if we knew everything. And I think that's one of those things that keep us striving and moving forward, so that's just my theory on it.
Well, I don't think it matters. I mean, I think you get what you get, and we do what we do. And some people are called to, be a physician. Some people are called to other things. This is, it was a little more less subtle than a phone call. It was a little bit more, intense, but it's still a calling. I mean, we get what we get. And I think, I don't know about you, but I feel like the reason we put it off so much, like doing this kind of thing, was because I am a skeptic deep down. Like, it has to be real to me. It has to feel real. Like, I could never do this if I felt like I was making it up.
Right.
And I needed it proven to me. It took me a couple of years just to say, okay, well, consistently, these things that I feel, think, whatever, that pop into my head, people understand. And that's, I think, it took me that length of time just to understand it. Who's this? Betsy Brown Williams. Hi, Betsy. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hi,
Welcome to the
Betsy.
show. Thank
Betsy
you.
Williams is such a sweetheart.
You know her.
I do know her. Yes.
Now I want to know how she found you so quickly. Oh, that's kind of strange, right?
How she found me? Or how
On
she found me?
On here. No, on here. Like, all of a sudden, you know her, because I don't know Betsy, and you don't know Betsy. I mean, if you knew Betsy, like I know Betsy. Oh, what have you got? No. Hey, Chris, she's
Gotta have a G rating, Scott. G rating.
That's right. The G rating. Hey, Crystal. No, I just think it's great because you weren't our scheduled guest, and all of a sudden here you are, and there she is. So that's what I was saying. I thought it was kind of funny.
It's a spirit thing.
It's a spirit thing.
It's
exactly.
a spirit thing. It's a spirit thing. I
I love
believe
it when
that.
stuff like that happens.
I do too.
Because you were just talking about needing reinforcement and questioning the messages that you were receiving.
Yeah.
And I love it when little things like this that are just gentle reminders.
She just said it's a spirit thing. It is a spirit thing. It definitely is a spirit thing.
Spirit thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There it is. And that's the kind of stuff that happens. But, those are the things that I think happen to a lot of people, and they just don't notice it. They don't pay
every time
attention
you have
to it.
a deja vu or any of that kind of stuff, it's part of it.
It's a deja vu thing. Yep.
It's kind of like paranormal investigating. You go into a place and everyone's expecting the Hollywood results of ghosts screaming in your face and shadows and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Slamming doors and
yeah. But really what happens is the activity 9 out of 10 times is very, very subtle. So if you're not taking it in, if you're not paying attention, you can miss it easily. If you're too busy looking at the gadgets and all that kind of stuff, you're going to miss it. And I think working with spirit is almost the same thing. The message you get it like subtly, in your everyday life. It could be something as simple as getting a message from seeing a feather on the ground. I've heard people seeing pennies mean something. It could be a billboard advertising Nike, but just the I don't know, live bigger could really be a turning point for somebody out there. So
I agree. And don't you think too it's the same for us? I mean, this is why people say, oh, do you pick up stuff when you're in the grocery store? No, because I'm just doing my shopping and my mind isn't there. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think if you don't take the time to quiet yourself down, you miss it.
Exactly. You have to pay attention to it. I grew up with the paranormal. I've been seeing or having paranormal experiences since like age 2 and 3. So it's been a long thing. It's been a lifelong journey for me. But there was a time in high school and in college, I was in med school for a while, where all I wanted to do was focus on school and graduate because I wanted a doctorate. And I don't know, that I didn't see anything paranormal. It was like it was forgotten. I just put that part of me away and focused on other things. So if you're not focusing on it, you're going to not hear the messages.
No. And like I said, it's that way for all of us. Now, not everyone's going to be a medium. Not everyone's going to be out on stage, sharing messages with people. But we all have that little nugget of intuition that will alert us to certain things. And if you just take the time to quiet and be aware that it exists and look for it, it'll show up.
It's very
true. Sure. It is.
Being open to spirit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I want to throw out there too, being open to spirit doesn't mean you're going to get possessed every time you go to a haunted location. That's just not the case.
And thank you for saying that.
No, it's only happened to me 3 times, and I can't tell you how many places I've been to.
You're on your own next time, Scott. Yeah,
Seriously.
I'm not helping you next time. No.
No, I mean, it's so true though. It really is so true. And we don't get possessed by doing readings either. You think, oh my God, I don't have any bad stuff coming in at all. Is Betsy a medium?
Yes, she is. She's got some abilities.
I was getting just from her messages. I was getting some of that. That's great. Betsy, you want to be on a show? Hit me up after the show. I think that I think it's just fascinating, really. And that's why I like that you're doing, getting back to, she says, I've learned I just prefer to use myself rather than the equipment. And you know what? I love equipment, but I love being able to see what I get. I love being able to see.
I like the cross-validation.
Yeah, it is.
And I like old school methods. I mean, dowsing rods is my go-to.
Yeah, so, and even that, I'll be honest with you, even that though, I sort of get a little bit like, I'd rather trust, well, you're not a medium, so I get it. I want to trust myself even more than that, because I feel like just, you use your hands, you go back or this way, and you're not even knowing it, it'll change the way they bend. And and I try to hold them straight, but then if I breathe, sometimes they move. You know what I mean? So I don't even know if I trust that 100% either. And I use a pendulum sometimes because I think it's kind of cool, and I don't know if you do this. Do you ever use a pendulum, CL?
I have used one before.
I do it sometimes if I'm doing a reading. It's, out of sight of the camera or whatever. But when spirit comes, it spins a lot faster. Like you'll see it really starting to like ramp up. You'll see the energy start to go. And then when it starts, it's not doing anything. And I know I'm not sitting here spinning it like that. So.
Well, ultimately, all of those gadgets and things, they're just tools to help us focus and hear what's coming through us anyhow. It just, for me, because I'm not a medium, I need things like that
Right.
to help me to understand what's happening and
Right.
try to get some answers.
So let me
It's
ask you this, CL, because you, obviously you've got 2 shows and you've interviewed a lot of different people from different walks of life, certainly within the paranormal. What is your experience? Do people appreciate having mediums to work with on an investigation in general, or do you find that they prefer to just keep it like instruments only? You know what I mean? Devices.
Mm.
It kind of depends on who you're talking to, honestly. I know there's a lot of teens out there who don't believe in mediums. They feel like, and I could kind of see their point with this, they feel like the medium might stir the investigation a certain way with what they've said. And I've seen that where,
Mhm.
they're looking for a particular thing based on what the medium said. But then on the flip side of it too, I think people are open. A lot of people do appreciate mediums too. It just depends on which team you're working with and what
Right.
the people are expecting. You could be with, it seems to be more with the people who are just so out to prove if something exists or not. And I think that, I mean, let's be fair, there's like 44,000 investigating teams right now
Yeah.
out there. You
Yeah,
know,
they're everywhere.
they're all different. And some of them, let's face it, they're out there to try to prove if there is life after death, not for like the world, but for themselves.
Right.
So it just depends on who it is and what they're expecting.
And
Well, and
what the
most of them, I
intention of
think,
being in the field.
yeah, and I
Right.
think most of them believe that there is something because they've caught a voice on a recorder, or they've
Mhm.
caught some other, it's the voices. You can't, it's undeniable. You know what I mean? You get them
Yeah.
answering you intelligently, and I mean, where's that coming from?
The
You know?
EVPs are just, I just love that part of the paranormal is the EVPs. That's my favorite because I'll be picking something up on an investigation and all of a sudden you get that EVP and it's just like, I knew it. I knew there was a woman here.
Mhm.
There's just no denying it.
Exactly.
Betsy, I get a kick out of this. I tend to be in crowds where everyone is a medium, so I stay quiet. It's so funny because I was today's Wednesday, Monday night. I had a private event, and I was mentioning that very same thing to someone at the event where I was at. I said, when someone finds out you're a medium, all of a sudden everybody's a medium. They all have some kind of ability, and they say, "Hey, look, we all have a little something." I get it, but it is kind
Mhm.
of funny how that does happen. It brings out.
Yeah,
Or it
it's true.
brings out the other side where they're just completely skeptical and they don't believe in anything. And I've been told that too. I don't believe in any of that. That's
And
okay.
some people, they're just so adamant that nothing exists, they'll actually get kind of mean with you too. I've had that happen.
That's, everyone is entitled to believe what they want to believe. I just feel differently. I think differently.
Gosh, why would somebody get hateful though? I don't understand that.
Well, I don't understand that anyway.
Yeah, it's more of, they're angry about, who knows, life, I guess.
Hello,
Fair.
Anita. Welcome to the show. Yeah. So it's kind of strange. It is. It's strange. And I just, well, and I was going to say too, depending on where you go in the world, like, so I got friends over in the UK, and they have told me that a paranormal team, is not a team worth its weight if it does not have a medium. That's
I
Wow.
how
would
they feel.
agree.
That's
I
how they
agree.
feel. And I was kicked off a team for being a medium right here in New England. So, I mean, that's just how it is. And
They're lost.
everybody's, well, that's all right. They miss my humor, I'm sure, maybe not. I don't know. But it is kind of funny, I don't really understand what why people have such pushback on it, but you know, and then human emotion gets into it, and you deal with
Yeah.
jealousy, and you deal with all the other emotions that human beings have, and some of it's pretty and some of it's not. And so that's just how it is. But I just do my thing, and
That's
I
all you
like to
can do. I
steer
mean,
clear. Yeah.
that's Going back to, you said like before you know it, there's a room full of mediums. I think you have to be
Yes.
careful out there too, because the term medium, and I don't even like using that word anymore because of this, it's become such a carny thing now.
It's
where
almost
you-
like the old gypsy
Yeah,
word.
you just have
Mhm.
so many people that are just out there, like Joe said, they're just hanging a shingle to try to make a dollar. And,
Yes.
you know, people get hurt, and then you see these people on television just not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it's a racket.
It
I
is
hear
a
ya.
racket. I was
Preach.
contacted by
Preach.
someone who wanted me to work for a 900 or 800 number thing, medium, dial a medium, so much a minute. I'm like, that is not me. I don't need that. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I was invited to join the Illuminati, so
Were
yeah.
you really?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's like big time special
4
there.
times today. Yeah.
How much does it cost to join that?
Yeah, I don't know. I never get that far.
That's pretty cool, huh? The Illuminati.
Yeah.
Find out what your credentials are and what you have to do to be in.
What you have to do to join the Illuminati. That's pretty
Mhm.
awesome.
I'm official bitch. I mean, that's about my only title. So I don't know. Apparently
No,
it's not much.
excuse me. That's my title. You're the
Oh,
witch.
I'm the witch. You could be the bitch. Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
I thought you had to be like reptilian to be part of the Lumen. Aren't they reptilian or something?
Honey, I don't know. I laugh at those grand rising emails or messages I get. I just immediately start laughing and do I want to screw with them or not? You know?
Oh my God. Betsy got an invitation to the Illuminati as well. I don't know. What am I doing wrong? You know?
I didn't get one either, so
I'll tell you
I'll give
something.
you your name next time. I'll say thanks. I'm not interested. However, my friend Scott. Yeah.
Well, you know, you start to feel left out. I remember, this is terrible, but you know, I went through from third grade to high school, right through high school. I was in Catholic school, and I went, you know, I remember all that stuff going on with the Boston Diocese and all that baloney, and I don't want to get into that, but
Mhm.
so many people were coming out and saying, "Oh, you know, this one I was propositioned, and this happened to me, and this happened to me," and I'm like, "Well, geez, was I the ugly kid on the block? Because nothing happened to me. Nothing happened to me. I mean, like, you start to get a complex after a while. Like, what? Nobody wanted me. I was like, nice
I am
looking
taking this as
12-year-old.
a personal mission. I am going to get you an invitation to join the Illuminati,
All
Scott.
right, there you go. Because you know, I'll be a little bit.
are those people that worship that owl thing in the middle of the Redwood Fort? Do you know what I'm talking about? Where all the presidents go and there's like that giant
There's something
stone
to do with
owl?
the presidents and Dan Brown, Da Vinci Code, the Illuminati, all that stuff.
Yeah, they're all supposed to be connected. I don't know how. And then they put the Masonic Temple in there somehow too, and it's just
Hmm.
I don't know. I like to
Are they
listen to the guy with big hair talk about all that stuff.
are the
It's like,
Illuminati Masons?
I don't think so.
I don't know. You always hear about the Masons, but I don't
I've
know if
heard
it's a higher.
connections, but I wouldn't even begin to talk about something like that because I could Google it in the first phrase. It's going to be beyond more than I know.
Let's
So
do a show on the Illuminati. I'm going to ask you to do your homework. You can join, and then we're going to talk about it.
Make sure you
I'll
find
go
out what you have to do.
What's that?
Make sure you find out what we have to do to join.
All right.
I'll film the initiation and we'll do this little underground documentary.
Oh,
That
that'd
sounds
be
awesome.
that's
Well, you know, CO will have you covered. She can do that documentary for you. So
Mhm.
the three of us should like team up. We'll go undercover. We can all wear black hoods.
Sounds like
here
a
it is.
plan. That's a Tuesday night in my place. So
Yeah, right. According to a family member, the Illuminati did start with a member of
the
the
Masons.
Masons. Yeah.
Hmm. Like I
Interesting.
said, I've heard
Hey, Eric, thanks
connections.
for stopping in. What's that?
I've heard connections, but I don't know. I'm usually maybe a cocktail or three in, but when I start watching all that, maybe not. No.
I don't know. I find it fascinating, but I still don't, you know, I don't know anything really. I don't know anything about it, but I feel like it's all fascinating when I read about that stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much of it really exists. You know what I mean? Like I knew people who were Masons, and I kept trying to get them to give me the secret handshake, and I could never get that. You know?
Oh, they'd have to be killed or something if they gave that to
I think they
you.
would have to be killed if you got the secret handshake. You know?
Mhm.
Remember Fred Flintstone? You know, like the Grand Poobah, and they'd do the whole thing. You know? Yeah, that kind of thing.
Oh
It's
my Lord.
bizarre.
Our tinfoil hats got real tight real quick.
I'm
And that's
telling
how
you,
you go from mediumship to
the
the Mason.
Illuminati. This is what happens when you have good guests and they just chat. See, oops, you have to go to the. What does it say? You have to go to the Bohemian Grove. Okay.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Have you heard of that place?
No,
Yeah.
what's that?
Well, okay, so I think it's out in Washington or Oregon or somewhere where there's redwoods. And it's a grove of trees, and everybody goes there to do really weird stuff. There's like this giant 12-foot stone owl, and it's right there, and there's like a stage, and like they do, like the presidents and stuff will go there and do ritualistic stuff. It's really weird. Really, really weird.
Really? Oh, I've got to
Yeah.
Google that now. The
And
Bohemian
it's so
Grove.
secret, like you'll never get in there because it's guarded all the time. But presidents and stuff will go there and stay, and it's like, yeah, it's like a camp, and they'll
Alex
burn.
Jones
So is this
snuck
summer?
in and made a
Is it
video.
summer camp? Like their version of Harry Potter type stuff? I mean,
I don't know, but if
don't
Alex
know.
Jones went in, it must be
Yeah.
real. So I'm going to have to go check that out when I
What
get
is
out
weird
of this.
on this place? And it's like, yeah, there's like fire around this owl. Yes, there it is. There's a picture of it. Look at it.
oh my gosh.
Now,
They're
where did that
wearing-
come from?
they're
Is that
like
Bill in the
robes.
background that just put that up? How'd that get there?
I'll bet that. Thank you, Bill. Wink, wink.
If that's Bill, thank you, Bill. Yes, he says LOL. Because if that's Spirit doing that, that's pretty cool. I've never had them like work on the show before.
I
and get
thought
us
that was
photos.
you doing it. So
No, it wasn't me. Kind of cool
But
though.
seriously though, the presidents of the United States are all members of whatever goes on there, and they go there. And to do what? I don't know, but they pray to the owl or something, and some kind of ritual goes on, and who knows? They could be sacrificing somebody.
I know,
for
it's
another
hard to
awful
imagine.
I know what
Biden
Reddit
getting out
hole
in the
I'm
middle of
going
the
down
woods.
tonight.
I mean, if he trips in the woods, he's going to break a hip and it's all over. I don't think he's going out there in the woods. I don't think so. Dance naked under the moon, she says. This show is going places. Let me tell you, we're having a good time tonight.
No,
Oh,
we only do that on Saturdays, so not
Right.
tonight. Yeah.
oh my God, they sacrifice an effigy. I don't know. I think it's fascinating. We're gonna have to find out about that. I think we're gonna have to.
That is
You know,
wild.
that's
Seriously.
about the Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian
I'm gonna have
Grove.
to check that out.
Bohemian
Bohemian
Grove.
Grove. And then where did you
Something
say it
tells
was?
me there is
DC
a whole
somewhere?
Reddit thread on that.
It's in.
Did you
I think it's Washington or Oregon, one of the two.
Oh, Washington State, not Washington
Yeah.
D.C. Washington
It's
State.
because it's actually a really pretty place if you watch the videos. There's like big giant redwoods all around
Mhm.
it. It's really
Okay,
fascinating.
I need to introduce you to someone because we're getting down to the last couple of minutes. He's been bugging me to be on my show, but I'm finally doing it from my house tonight. You can come over here and say hi. This is Nicholas.
Hi, Nicola.
There he is. Okay, are you happy now? You can tell your friends you've been on a podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
It's all official.
All right. Yeah, you're famous. Okay, go on over there and I'll be with you in a little bit. All right. He's like, I want to be
He's
on this
so
show.
He looks
He's
like
all
he's
right.
he's grown a little bit.
He's grown a lot. He's going to be 11. I can't even believe it.
That's
He's
what
like
happens
after
when
my-
you feed them.
I know. I know.
Mine got big and flew away.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's crazy. So we only have about 4 minutes left, 4.5 minutes left. Tell me a little bit more about your podcast, where people can find it, and your book, because people might want that too. Tell us about your books and your podcast. And
So I do have 2 books that are out. You can find them at clthomas.org.
Mhm.
You can find everything from clthomas.org. The new podcast, The Gateway, I haven't posted that just yet on my social media or anything like. Well, it is on my social media. It's not on my website yet, but I'm going to get that connected sometime this week, so you'll be able to find it from there as well. But yeah, everything's on clthomas.org.
Okay, cool. And what are the books? One's Dancing with Demons. That's the new one.
Dancing with Demons is my personal story. So, like I've said, I grew up with the paranormal, but I was not afraid of it. You know how most people who've had paranormal experiences as a young child, they say that they were scared and everything. That wasn't the case with me. The first time I was scared of it was when I lived in a haunted house in Nashville. And so that's what that story is. And it was a very negative haunting.
Wow.
There was a lot of stuff that went on. I don't really want to go into too much detail about what was going on with the house, but it was a pretty bad haunting.
Oh, wow.
And but a good thing did come out of it. I mean, once I came out, I was reintroduced to the spirit world, and I was back on this journey again to working with spirit. And I don't know, it's been quite the journey.
Good for you. And I'm glad to call you my friend, even though we don't talk all the time and she thinks sometimes I hate her like I ditched her, but I didn't. It's just me being caught up in life. But I am so glad that you are my friend and we get to talk like this. And I get to be on your show, the new one, The Gateway. That's December 26th. So look for us there. I want to just share too real quickly because I see Bill's been posting some things in the chat here. Tonight is the Geminids meteor shower. It peaks tonight. So if you go outside, you're going to see up to like 100 meteors an hour. So we'll have to go outside and take a peek. He's going to be streaming it right afterwards. What is this, Bill? Bob, Krista Perno, Tony Martinez, Michael Schratt, and Linda Zimmerman on with me at 9 p.m. tonight. And they're going to be streaming it. Let's see. Skywatcher Gaming on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, go to Skywatcher Gaming. It's going to be there. Betsy, thanks for taking part in the conversation tonight. We all love CL. She's great. And I hope that people will check out her books and check out her podcasts and all the other great things she's got going on. And I hope you'll hang on after the show because I do want to chat with you for just a minute. I know we took away your gym time and everything. And I appreciate that. I'm very grateful that you came on and joined us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for being such a receptive audience. Mary and all the others that were with us tonight, and our producer Bill, who's backstage keeping everything running. I appreciate all of you. So we have a minute and a half. Anything else you want to share before we call it a night?
I don't have anything. Nope. You could, if anyone has questions, they can reach out to me. I'll always answer email or messages or whatever it is. I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. Christina?
SCL Thomas.
Yes.
At CL Thomas. Yeah.
Instagram, I think, is author CL Thomas. People have a hard time finding
CL Thomas? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool beans. That's good. And Christina, so good to see you as always. I'm glad to see you all decked out for the holiday.
Yeah.
I did all of this for you.
I think your fire looks a little off, but it's kind of frozen. But
yeah,
that's all right. That's all right. It's a little frozen. What is that behind you, CL? Is that towels from your bathroom that you made into a ghost figure, or what is that thing back there?
So that's the theme photo that I use for Small Town Tales podcast.
Gotcha.
But it's a photo I took, and it's of this art installation out.
Hang on. We are coming to a hard end right here in 3 minutes. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.
You've been listening to the Paranormal Project radio show with Scott Allen and Christina Bowen. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. While you're there, leave us a rating and review. We'll be back next week with more exciting